Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. Today we're going to talk about beautiful, beautiful exotic cars. This is a really, really awesome Ferrari. What the? Okay.
Wizard, can't we do a video on real cars for once?
Cut, cut, cut. Welcome back, guys. I know that car's really cool, but that's not what this video is about. We're doing Jaguar, buy this, not that, today. Here's what we're going to be talking about today, obviously Jags. Now, I'm going to go through a whole list of small, medium, large, SUV, everything. Which one is reliable? Which one's not? None of them are reliable. Jaguars are not known to be Honda Civics or Toyota Corollas. However, they have iconic styling that's almost unmatched in any car out there. They're very beautiful cars. If you're in the market for a Jaguar, it's very likely that you already know you're not buying a Toyota Corolla. You're buying a car that's probably going to have some issues and will always have some issue to be dealt with. So keep that in mind as we go along. When I mention something's reliable, it's fairly reliable compared to most other Jaguars. So, the first segment we're going to start out with is the small cars. Jaguar in the past really doesn't have any small cars that I'm familiar with. However, it's called the EPace. It's kind of like an SUV car, crossover little bitty car. It's really small with a 2-liter 4-cylinder. That is for sale. They're getting into the small vehicle market with that. But prior to that, there's really nothing to talk about as far as small cars. So we're going to move on to the mid-size segment.
The Car Wizard, would you recommend them getting that car?
Like I said a minute ago, I'm not familiar with it. It's still under warranty. A lot of those cars are going to the dealers for service and repairs. Have I seen this or that? I haven't seen anything. They haven't been in my shop. So time will tell. As far as my opinion, time will tell if those are a good car or not. In the mid-size segment, the one that I would recommend to buy is 2007 to 2015 Jaguar XF. These had a variety of engines. They had a 2-liter EcoBoost, kind of like Mrs. Wizard's Land Rover Discovery Sport. It's the 2-liter Ford EcoBoost. They have a 3-liter V6 and a 5-liter V8. These are all Ford engines because Ford owned Jaguar for quite a number of years. These are a fairly reliable car, like I said, based on other Jaguars. Actually, they're not too bad at all. The little round shift selector, they had issues with those. Some other issues here or there, but they really didn't have any catastrophic failures with these cars. This is also the model years that Jaguar departs from the classic front end like that, and they start to look more like a Nissan Altima or something. Me and Mrs. Wizard really don't care for the new Jaguar styling, but I know that it appeals to millennials and the younger generations who are buying these. They really love them. But this is what we know of as a Jag, and we're old timers and we don't want that to go away, so we don't like them. But they are good cars. The ones not to buy, 2001 to 2009 Jaguar XType. Now I didn't say S-Type, I said X-Type. X means don't buy. Horrid. This is basically a rebadged Ford Contour, Mercury Mystique. Are those good cars? Absolutely not. They're junk, junk, junk. And so is the X-Type. I've gotten these cars a few times in the shop. They're only worth $2,000, $3,000 at the most. And anything goes wrong, guess what it costs? $2,000 or $3,000. It's a Jaguar. There are parts on there that are Ford related, but there are a lot of parts that aren't. These cars get ran into the ground because they cost as much as the vehicle's value to repair or more, so they never get repaired. They just kind of get forgotten. There's still some running around. I see them once in a while, and they're usually banged up and beat up pretty bad. Really, if you're in the market for a true Jaguar, that's probably one you want to steer away from. That's not going to be it's not a true Jag in my opinion. So that finishes the mid segment. Let's move on to the large segment. The one to buy would be 97 to 2003 Jaguar XJ8 or XJR. Mrs. Wizard actually had a 2000 XJR, and we loved that car. It started to have a few little issues, and at that time in our life, we didn't have the money to fix it, and I didn't have the time. I wasn't a mechanic for a year or two there. We didn't have this. It wasn't an option for me to pull it into the shop and fix it, because I didn't have a shop. And we sold it and got rid of it. I really wish we never got rid of that car. It was so nice. It was so fast. 370 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Supercharged. It was very, very fast. These cars all are going to have some issues here or there. Like I said, Jaguars are not Toyota Corollas. But for the most part, any issues that arise with these XJ8s or XJRs is usually fixed for $500 to $1,000 in that range, and you can get it back on the road. Actually, they're fairly reliable, and they look very cool. I think the style of those cars is just absolutely beautiful. The ones not to buy would be 1986 to 1994 XJ6. This is the X300 range of vehicles, and what's so bad about these cars is really two things. Number one is the styling. They actually have flat, square headlamps in these years, and it's just ugly. It doesn't even look like a Jaguar. It's horrible. They ruined the styling. And they went back, after those years, they went back to the iconic styling because I think people threw a fit. They're like, what in the world is... But anyways, the second problem is this is when fuel injection is really getting going in Jaguars. And in the 86, 7, 8, 9, in that range, there's no diagnostic port. There's no codes. There's nothing. Especially on the XJSs. Anytime an electrical issue goes wrong, you have to kind of have a mechanical knowledge and go through each and every sensor. What are the readings should be? What are they? Using a voltmeter. It's just pull your hair out type stuff, and it's angering. And if you take it to a shop and have them work on it, again, no diagnostic port. The mechanic can't pull codes. He's going to have to physically start checking things, and that's when he's going to start dinging you for diagnostic time. And your rates are going up and up and up. And then you start thinking, I wish I never bought this car. This is horrible. That's why I'm saying don't buy these. Is it a bad car? No, not really. But when things do go wrong, it can really just demolish your bank account. And they don't look that great either. So that finishes the large car segment. Let's move to SUV. Again, this is a segment that I'm not going to be familiar with because they just started coming out with 17 and 18, the SUVs. They're still under factory warranty. They're going to the dealers for service and repairs. I haven't seen any in my shop because they're too new. But there are 3 models out there now. Starting in the 2020 model year, you get an EPace, an EPace, and an iPace. There's 3 different paces, I guess. Out of those, my favorite would be the EPace. It's more sport-oriented. And when we purchased Mrs. Wizard Land Rover, they had one in the showroom, and I was just drooling over it. It was beautiful. Really nice vehicle. But what is my opinion of them? I don't know yet. I haven't even worked on any of them. They're too new. So I can't really help you guys as far as a Jaguar SUV. Let's move on to the last category, the sports car category. I do have some recommendations there. The one to buy would be 97 to 2003 XK8 or XKR. Not the XJ, the XK. This is going to be a 2-door, usually a convertible, not always. This is going to be a 2-door car, a sports car. It's truly a sports car. And they're not that expensive. You can find really nice examples for $10,000 or less. Especially if you get the XKR, it'll have the same motor that Mrs. Wizard's XJR had, 370 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. It's very fast. And they look really good. They look very classy. When I see them driving on the road, it's just like, wow, that's a nice looking car. You won't be disappointed with one of those, especially if it's been taken care of. They really are a good car, and they're very fun to drive. The one not to buy is any year Jaguar XJS. I've worked on a few of these in my years, not a whole lot of them, because most of them are junked out by now, or people fix them themselves because it's too expensive. But when I've had them in my shop and worked on them, I tried to get inside of them and sit in them. And I'm kind of a bigger guy, but still my height is the problem. I sit in the seat and the roof is literally touching my scalp. There is no room, and the seat doesn't go down anymore. The ergonomics of the interior of these is just atrocious. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. I didn't enjoy it. I tried to. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to get into the groove of this car the last one that I drove. And when I pulled it back into the shop, I just said, no, it's just not going to work. It's horrible. The second problem, these have the V12s. And when they go wrong, nobody wants to work on them. You take it to a shop, they'll say, we're not interested in working on that. You take it to your buddy, he says, I don't want to work on that. I don't know anything about that. You don't know anything about that possibly. Somebody who does know about it is going to charge an arm and a leg. Some of the parts are hard to get a hold of. The distributor sits in the middle, and there's a lot of trouble with that because the heat that gets to it. There is tons of these cars that have been converted to Chevy 350s. This wouldn't be so prolific if it was easy to fix these engines or cheap to fix these engines.
Would you recommend them getting one that's already been converted to a Chevy?
No, I would not, because I've had some of those, whether it be an XJ model or an XJS model, with conversions to 350, and they're usually what I call farmer conversions. They're very poorly done. There's things that are bolts and things that are missing. There's motor mounts and things that have been botched up, wiring that's botched up. It usually ruins the car. There might be a few out there that are excellently done. I haven't seen one. So the XJSs, just stay away. Unless you're an avid collector and you find a showroom condition one and you're dedicated to make it stay alive, just go away. It'll drain your pocketbook and it may destroy your marriage. You never know. The Jaguar market really brings to mind an issue that I've already brought up in previous videos. If you're looking for a European car, just because you can pick one up for $2,000 doesn't mean you can afford the car. The repairs on that car could be $4,000, $6,000, $8,000. It can just totally decimate any savings that you have. These are not cars for the lighthearted. If you don't like tinkering on cars, they're not for you. If you don't like it being in the shop once a month, it's not for you. There's always going to be something wrong with them. These cars like Mrs. Wizard's XJR that she had, when it was new back in 2000, it was $120,000. We bought it for $4,000. Imagine if something major had gone wrong with the engine or the transmission, and I didn't know how to fix anything, and you're done. The car's done. So just keep that in mind when you're shopping for a Mercedes, a BMW, a Jaguar. I get so many of these cars in the shop that someone just barely could afford to get a BMW or a Jaguar. And then now it's going to be another $2,000 in repairs, and they're just like, I don't have that kind of money. And I'm like, I can't do anything about that. I can't help you with that. So keep that in mind if you're looking for one of these cars. They're fun cars. They're beautiful cars, but it takes dedication to own one of them. You better know what you're doing to repair it yourself or have some money. So that pretty much sums up my recommendations for the Jaguar segment. I've got several comments of people saying, do Jags, do Jags. So we finally did it, and it's done, and that's what I think about them. If you're curious about any kind of tools I use, check my Amazon affiliates. You guys have been buying up lots of stuff there. I'm really thankful for that. A bit of good news is that I'm also a Auto Trader oversteer writer now. You can head on over there. Tyler Hoover's a writer. Doug DeMuro's a writer. Click the link below. I'm also a writer now. I've got some articles there you guys will enjoy. Lots of more videos to come, lots more articles to come. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that button. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching.